Welcome back to our channel, and today's video is about expanding brackets. So we'll start with a basic example. We have one number outside and one bracket, so a times b plus c. So you need to times a by every element of the bracket. In this case it's b and the second element plus c, so you get ab plus ac. I'll also show you how to do the same thing if you had minus c. Okay, so as I said, the part in the brackets is b and minus c, so we get ab minus ac. First example we have will be 3 times 2x plus 4, and when I times it I'll be multiplying 3 times 2x plus 3 times 4, so that will become 6x plus 12. The next example we will have with negative numbers, so let's say it's minus x and the brackets it's x minus 3x. This is where it's really important that you remember which parts you're timesing. So the blue shows which part, so it's minus x, x and minus 3x. Okay, so the first multiplication is minus x times x, the second one is minus x times minus 3x. Okay, so I put plus between them because it's the next thing we're adding. Okay, so the first becomes minus x squared, and then minus minus gives you plus, so it becomes 3x squared. Actually this was a very silly example because they're the same, so you can add them, so it becomes 2x squared. The next rule is a bit more complicated, so we have a bracket, we'll have way more elements than just 2, so we have a times multiple elements. All you need to do is just multiply a by every single part of the bracket, just like you did before. It doesn't matter how many things you have inside the bracket, so all I'm gonna do is just multiply them out. Just keep in mind that if you have lots of elements, you will most probably get to the point where you can simplify something. Okay, our example is going to be x times, in brackets, 3x minus x squared plus y. Okay, so the first part is x times 3x, and that will be 3x squared, and then x times minus x squared, which will become minus x cubed plus xy. Next example we have two brackets now, so you have a plus b, and second bracket is c plus d. All you need to do is take the first bracket and times each element of it by every element of the second bracket. As you can see, I highlighted in green what I'm timesing a by, and then in red what I'm timesing b by. Okay, as an example we will look at x minus 1 times x plus 2. So the first you multiply x by x squared, x times 2 plus 2x, and then you times in minus 1 by the second bracket, so you get minus x and minus 2. Okay, now I'm gonna simplify it a little bit because there is two parts that just have x, so it becomes x squared plus x minus 2. The next part is if you have two brackets and the second bracket has more than 2 elements, so again multiple elements, all you need to do is times every element of the first bracket by every single element of the second bracket, just like before. So I'm going to times a by every part of the second bracket, and then b will be times by every single part of the second bracket again. And I'm going to write all the multiplication out. The more elements you have, the more likely you will have something to simplify, because this is a generic example, you can't simplify anything here. Okay, so our example is going to be is 3 minus x times another bracket where we have x plus 2x squared minus 1. So I'm gonna times 3 by every single part of the second bracket, and then I'm gonna times minus x by every single part in the second bracket. Again, I highlight in blue every single individual part, so you know where you need to consider the plus and minuses. So 3x, and then 3 times 2x squared, 6x squared, 3 times minus 1, we get minus 3. And now we're looking at minus x times in by the second bracket, so we get minus x squared minus 2x cubed and then minus x minus 1 gives you plus, so it's plus x. Again, if you have a look, you can see that there is two parts that just have x, so I can add those, it becomes 4x, and then there's also two parts that have x squared, so that becomes 5x squared, and then we have minus 3 and minus 2x cubed. The next example is if we have multiple brackets, so we will have a plus b times c plus d times e plus f. Okay, it doesn't matter how many brackets you have, you will only be able to apply this to 2 brackets at a time. So I will first expand the first 2 brackets, as you can see, just a normal way, and then I will have to multiply every single part of our new bracket by the next one coming along. Okay, so as you can see, just like before, what I highlighted in green is the first 2 brackets, and then I'm gonna times AC by the third bracket, and then AD by the third bracket again, and then I will be going through our big bracket and multiplying by the last one. Whenever you do things like that, just keep going very methodically, so you don't miss anything out one by one. Okay, and as I said before, it doesn't matter how many brackets you have, you can only simplify or expand 2 brackets at the same time. So our example is going to be x minus 1 times x plus 2 times x plus 1. So I'm gonna do the first 2 brackets. Okay, and as you can see, so it becomes x squared plus 2x, and then minus 1 we times by the second bracket, we get minus x minus 2, and then I write the third bracket just the same way. Okay, also as you can see, you can simplify the second bracket, so that's what I've done just now, and then I'm gonna times it again by the third bracket. So x squared will be times by the third bracket first, we will get x cubed plus x squared. Then I'm gonna times x by the third bracket, so we're gonna get plus x squared plus x. And finally, we will times minus 2 by the third bracket, so we will get minus 2x minus 2. And now, very important, just keep an eye on everything that is very similar, so you can add it. So x cubed stays the same, x squared, there is 2 of them, so we will add them. And then there is plus x minus 2x, so it becomes minus x and minus 2. Okay, the next rule is, this is something you should remember. It will make your life so much easier if you just memorize it rather than expanding. So a plus b all squared, and it equals to a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. I'm gonna go through the example in 2 methods. So the first method will be actually expanding brackets. So our example is 2x plus 1 all squared, and I'm just gonna multiply out 1 by 1 like we did on all the previous examples, and then simplify it a little bit, and we get 4x squared plus 4x plus 1. And now the second method I'm gonna use is just use this formula. So our a in this case is 2x, so it's 2x squared, and then we have plus 2 times ab, so it's times 2x times 1 because b is our 1, and then plus b squared, plus 1 squared. Okay, and if I just square that, it becomes exactly the same answer, so you get 4x squared plus 4x plus 1. Okay, so this rule is very similar if you have a negative sign, so it's a minus b all squared. The expansion is almost the same apart from minus 2ab and not plus. Okay, so our example is going to be 2x minus 1 all squared. It's exactly the same as before, just with a minus. So I'm gonna do it the same way. I will first expand 2 brackets like we did before. So I'm gonna times 2x by every single part of the second bracket, and then minus 1 times by every single part of the second bracket. And when we expand, you'll see that now you have only 2 negative numbers, which will add up together. So the answer is 2x squared minus 4x plus 1. And now if we use the second method, just using the formula, exactly the same as before, you have 2x all squared minus 2 times 2x and then times b, which is 1, not negative 1, and then 1 squared, so we get exactly the same answer as before. Okay, and final rule is if you have two brackets with the same numbers but one is positive and another negative, the answer is just a squared minus b squared. It is also known as a difference of two squares. Really important to remember it both ways as it appears in factorizing and expanding. Okay, our example is x minus 1 and times x plus 1. So first of all, I'm gonna expand it just like before. Okay, so we'll get x squared plus x, and then I'm timesing minus 1 by second bracket, so it's minus x minus 1. Simplify it and you'll just get x squared minus 1. And now I'm gonna use the formula which says a squared minus b squared. So our a is x, we get x squared minus, and then b is 1, so it's 1 squared, and we get x squared minus 1. Exactly the same. Thank you for watching. Give us a like if you enjoyed our video, subscribe and comment below if you have any more questions.